Pioneers wrap up a homestand in the month of January with two straight, Anderson and Lenoir-Rhyne. Hello, everyone. I'm Brian Staten, joined by Pioneer coach Meagan Price, as we welcome you in to Pioneer basketball with Coach Price. A Pioneer basketball team on the outside of the top 8, looking in, but still with 8 basketball games remaining here in the month of February, and a lot of room for this team to be moving up. A lot of competitive games as well. We'll talk about the top 4 and who's in there here at the end of this show. But this Pioneer team facing an Anderson team and a Lenoir-Rhyne team whom they've already faced this year. So you go in Wednesday against an Anderson team. It's a team you haven't seen yet, but boy, we've had a lot of chance to probably read about them and see them. And as I was reading about them, realized they had some really good guards.
Yeah.
I don't think I was disappointed in their guard play, but I thought you did a really good job against Stafford in the contest.
Yeah, I think so too. I went back and watched some of that last night, and we did a great job on her. And there's some things, you can just see the difference sometimes between our guards and their guards, and she does a great job directing traffic. And I mean, she's got a deadly crossover. Mm-hmm. And so, there's a couple of times I saw her cross somebody over, and I was like, good thing we stayed in front of her.
Yeah.
But she, she's a great player, and I thought we did a great job on her. Could have done a better job on McNeil because I know that she drove them a lot and made the first 3 threes of the game, and so that was a huge, that was a huge turning point for them to start. Obviously, we kind of made our way back, but it took us a second to get that rhythm back.
And interesting, we'll talk a little bit about it, the ebbs and flows of the first half. And McNeil was interesting. She wasn't that driver; she was that perimeter shooter, and I think that surprised us a little bit. But I didn't realize just how big he was. As he had 2 in, then he would rotate the next 2. And those next 2, Michelle along with Hare, were really good. He started pounding the paint, especially late in that first half.
Yeah, and they started for him last year. So that's how deep he is. And, so I think Anderson is a really good basketball team. And, it's great competition for us to see what level we're at this far in because we haven't seen them yet. And then, how can we, get some strategy together whenever we go to play them the very last game of the season and try to sneak a win at their place, which will be really tough. But it goes back to just how deep he is, the fact that those kids started last year and he can bring those kids in off the bench. Yeah. And it was one thing I said before the game was, Michelle always scares me. And so as a coach, and so I think she's one of the best post players in our conference that a lot of people overlook because she just knows how to rebound, post seal. I know she's battled injury on and off all year long, so I know that's been, something that's kind of been a thorn in her side. But I think she's great. So when she comes in, I'm not going, whew, he's got his subs in,
Yeah.
So that was one thing that we had talked about as a group just because, that was a concern for us.
Let's take a look at the highlights, Tusculum versus Anderson, and we'll talk at the end of it as well about a milestone game. But for this Pioneer basketball team, we were just searching. We were trying to score. We had come out of a game where we could not finish in the second half, and our first half was very electric.
Yeah, very electric, and I think we did. I think we did a great job. I know she scored 12 in the first, but there was only 3 people that had scored on our team in the first half, and so it was just huge that we continued to dig in the post. We made them work down there, and I think we just got tired in the second half. But I thought our first half was probably the best basketball that we've played all year long. I thought we did a great job executing offensively. We did everything that we needed to do. Things like that with Maya stripping the basketball. Those are huge things that we've talked about, not letting people score in a situation even if they get a steal. But we executed our backdoor sets, our three-point plays. I thought we played with confidence.
Bree Dixon in the contest, finishing with 17, took a bunch of shots because they were sagging on her and gave her that shot, which she can make. We were talking about not being able to finish in the paint a couple of games ago, but I think it seems like everything went in the paint, and Dixon then started finding that range.
Yeah, she did, and I think maybe we were a little shocked whenever they did that because nobody's done it yet, but I always try to prepare in advance and say, okay, well, what happens if they sag on our point guard, because she doesn't score a lot, and I was not expecting the sag on Bree, but I was like, shoot it, So that's one thing that I think she did. She did a great job of and stepped up for us and kind of made those adjustments.
All right, what happened at the turn of the half? Bree hits the big shot, go up 38-32. It's a 6-point lead. Pioneers couldn't find a way to score. I mean, open looks, couldn't get the ball, just would not go down. A long run for Anderson, 33-0, and it went almost 12 minutes. And, that was kind of the game. That sealed it for us. But, again, it was them just not taking perimeter shots, just continuing to pound inside the paint.
Yeah, and we struggled. And I felt like, I could have done a better job as a coach, maybe subbing earlier in that first half so that we would have some energy in that second half. Because I felt like that was the first game where, 20 minutes we couldn't have played and executed better offensively, done a great job following the scout defensively for the first 20 minutes. And honestly, I went back and asked a couple, I asked Jay, I said, were you exhausted yesterday? And she was like, yes, coach. And so it's just that difference in that battle of the top four and that level of play, and that 40 minutes is tough. And so, we did a good job adjusting the second game, and I know we'll get to that. But that was something that I felt like we probably could have done a better job as a staff. And so, we made those adjustments on Saturday.
It's a Pioneer team that would fall to Anderson. In the contest, though, Tusculum would get a milestone in Jayla Arnwine becoming the 20th player in school history to go over 1,000 points in her career. And she did that really in the first half. We shot 48% in that first half, and everything was clicking. And it's funny that you talked to Jay about it afterwards in that game, and she was still very electric and a well-deserving honor in her career.
Yeah, she's just this second semester especially, because I know a lot of people in the outside noise, they're like, well, where's Jay? What's going on? Like, why isn't she putting the team on her back? And I shot her a text last night. And I said, is your back hurting? Because I know you've just been carrying us. But she's been finishing great around the rim. And it goes back to things we've talked about where we've missed layups. We literally have taken hours, a week to just work on finishing around the basket. And, pad work, things like that to make it really tough on them when you're tired and you got to finish. But she has just been, she's the best kid to coach. Her leadership qualities on and off the floor are unbelievable, and very well-deserved honor.
And again, a Pioneer team, as far as their shooting continues to improve. That's what we continue to talk about, because these kids, I think you see them getting into doing extra stuff on their own. And some of that. And I think you're going to see this team, hopefully in the month of February, starting to light it up. Against Anderson had a struggle, but then you turn the page and you go against the Lenore-Ryan Bears, and here's a team that went in and lost 4 straight, and then all of a sudden they come in and enter last week and they get a couple of big road wins, and so they're starting to turn it around a little bit as well. And Harmon really scares me, and Hudson, she showed me, wow, we got to contend with her still in the future, her and Harmon, and that's a pretty good duo. Yeah,
it really is. He's got a great duo in them, and and I know he started a couple people and changed his rotations, but we have too. So, he does a great job with them, and they play hard. The thing that always concerns me about LR is from the get-go they're very scrappy, so that you're probably not going to get a lot of fouls early because they come out like that. And so if they start the tempo that way, you have to play and you have to be tough and you have to rebound it. They can turn a game around just by going and getting 3 offensive rebounds because you were lazy and didn't rebound on the backside. And so that was something that we talked a lot about game planning, but going back to when we lost that game to Anderson, I texted our girls that night and said, you guys have individuals on your own tomorrow. We'll see what you can do. And the whole team was in the gym. I come to practice that day. Everybody's upbeat. They're ready to go and get LR. And that's the thing I love about our team, like just bouncing back from things like that, where they could be down, but instead they're like, no, we're going to get in and we're going to get extra work, and I love that about them.
And you talked about having a little bit of a change going into the LR contest, a little bit with the lineup, and we see that, and you're going to hear some of the numbers that show probably a great improvement in that. And I think what's also impressive is that the people you played contributed in some way. I mean, there wasn't a slack off, there wasn't anything like that in this contest, and I thought that also had to have been pleasantly surprising a little bit for you to see that change and how good it worked.
Yeah, because there's always a nervousness dipping into the bench just because of, there are days where sometimes our bench will go hard in practice, and then I've been, trying to motivate them all year long. Like, you never know. Dee is a prime example. She didn't play for, however many games and barely played first semester. And I was talking about it last night, trying to figure out, at what point did we really start getting her into games, because she had to play a little at LR because we got into foul trouble. But then, she really didn't start contributing until we went to Wingate and we got in foul trouble. I played her, and I think she got a double-double. And then she got a double-double after that and a double-double the next game. And so that's where I always utilize, it doesn't matter if you go in the third quarter, the second quarter, the fourth quarter, you should stand out. And that's something that I thought we did a great job of. When Lexi goes in, she stood out. She had 8 points. She really grabs a lot of rebounds as a guard that people don't realize, and then Chloe comes in and makes big shots for us. And they did a great job executing when they went in what we were trying to do for them. And, I think that just gave us a lot of energy.
Let's take a look at the highlights, Tusculum versus Lenore-Ryan, as we wrap up this homestand and the month of January as well. It's an LR team that's just inside the top 8 as the standings are right now. We don't pay too much attention to it just because of some teams are still catching up in some of the games. But we get off to a great start once again. Dixon hitting from outside, Arnwine getting an and one, and Maya Belton hitting from outside.
Yeah.
Your big three scored a bunch, but a lot of people starting to contribute for this group as well.
Yeah, and I think we had a season high 22 assists, and I think that was huge for us. One thing that we've been talking about is sharing the basketball more, because I think our shot selection, you know, I went back even and looked last night at our percentage last year compared to this year, and our percentage is way down. And so I've just talked about how, you know, we did a great job last year always moving the basketball, finding the extra person, and I may be open, but is the next person more open? And so this was the first game that I felt like, you know, we really showed that, hey, we're going to share the basketball, we're going to get the extra pass, and you make shots because of that. You're not having to rush, you got time to set up, and I think that was a big turning point for us as a group.
Lexi Patty and Sophia Henry combining there pretty much for a steal. Chloe Warrington hitting a long three. And again, this comes in a situation where Hudson was still kind of answering at the other end for the Pioneers, and you needed that answer. And I think we got a response it seemed like every possession.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing for us too, because I felt like in this game they would go on some runs where they would score a lot at a time, but we always matched it with a bucket. And we haven't done that all year. So lots of times, if a team goes on a run, we don't usually score on offense. So I felt like because we were still scoring, it kept our energy up defensively to get stops down the stretch when we needed it to take that lead.
You see Patty making the jumper off the dribble, and then another kick out three, and then Maya Belton penetrating and scoring inside the paint. You get a couple of backdoor looks, and Arnwine, who just gone over 1,000 points for her career, comes up with big shots. But I felt the second half is important. You called a timeout early. We went 3 possessions and came up empty 3 times, and we made a little adjustment. We had an inbound play, and you set up and designed the perfect inbound play to score, and that really kind of set us off.
Yeah, I think so too. And I've been telling our group our goal is to play 5 minutes at a time and get to the media, but our second goal is to not make me call a timeout in the first half. Okay. So if I can save those timeouts, then in a stretch where I would like to use them in the third, because it's no secret to everybody that we're not great in the third quarter, but we're trying to figure that out. If I need to call a couple of timeouts down that stretch to stop a run, us make adjustments, maybe score under out of bounds to get us going, then that's what I want to do. But I can't do that if I burn a couple in the first half. And so that's the thing that we've been talking about as a group is like, let's have a great first half. Let me save those. I'll dip into the bench more so that we've got energy for the third quarter. And so I think all of those adjustments kind of came together, for the first time. And our staff did a great job talking to me. Coach Ev always does a great job too on the scout, but I just think those rotations really helped us to bring that energy in the third, and we didn't outscore them by a lot.
Right.
But if we can just outscore anybody in the third, that's kind of our goal right now too.
Pioneers get a 78-51 win, and with that, you talked about the assists. These were the season highs: field goals made, field goal percentage, 3-pointers made, 3-point percentage, assists, fewest turnovers, and steals all in one game. So the energy, that's the analytics. The things that you don't see that show up in a scoreboard is vocal leadership, is energy, is different things like that. And I felt like when Chloe Warrington came to the floor, it was immediately louder in the gym and that on the floor. And she's that way on the bench and has been that way all steady all season long. Despite maybe giving up a backdoor cut or even a layup in the paint, but grabbed rebounds, deflected passes, and then made some threes, which was huge for this team.
Yeah, and one thing she does great too is she just rallies us in games. She comes back defensively, and she's the one, because I talk about all the time, hey, if you don't score, we need somebody that's like, hey, let's just get a stop right here. And I'm just watching her make eye contact with me, and she's just rallying our group the whole time to get stops. And even if she does get scored on, at least she can go back and get a bucket. Right. So that's a big thing for me. But I love her energy, and I think it's been super contagious. And so I was ready to just give her a shot because of that, and I think it really helped us down the stretch.
Big three, though, big numbers again. Jayla Arnwine with 24, Dixon with 21, Belton with 19. You're hard to beat when those people are scoring, but it was, again, 22 assists, getting them some open looks and open shots. Warrington, was it her 300th career three-pointer for her collegiate career? It's impressive. As well, when you think about it.
I went back and did the math too, and I was like, that's 900 points worth of threes. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's quite a bit. That would be number 2 all time in school history. Here for Tusculum. So you close out the homestand again in a good way, and we're talking now another tough stretch. You played some really quality teams, but you get another quality one coming up on Wednesday. when we travel to take on Carson Newman, and then a road trip to Newberry. A lot of things that you can take care of. You know, it will be, you know, the month of February is going to be obviously the telltale sign.
Yes.
But getting a win, then taking on a Carson Newman team that's just been solid. Again, pretty good guard play. They got pretty good post play as well.
Yeah, and they kind of dipped off, you know, right before Christmas and then maybe beginning of January. But the last 3 or 4 games, you know, you've seen them really pick up their pace again and kind of mesh, you know, because it looked like for a while they weren't meshing great and they lost a couple. And then I know they battled a couple injuries and a couple people got hurt, but they're playing really well right now, and it is going to be a tough challenge for us. I'm looking forward to it. It'd be a good one to sneak out at their place. And it's the first time I've played there as a coach, you know, regular season, because we didn't go there last year.
Right.
And obviously they had the tournament there, but we didn't play them. So I'm excited just for that challenge. And then Saturday is going to be huge for us because, you know, we are battling, you know, really that 5th spot down is up for grabs. Yeah. And so that's a huge thing Saturday for us to get that win. And so we've got 2 good wins. And Wednesday, too, is a great one. You know, if you sneak one like that, it's just going to help us climb in the standings.
Wingate has clinched. They are in as far as the top 8 is concerned as the tournament. Your top 4, Wingate. It is Catawba, Carson Newman, and Anderson that's there. And then, again, we talked about the next 5. Those next 4 spots really are up for grabs, and there's a lot of basketball to be played.
Yeah.
Join us on Wednesday. It'll be Tusculum and Carson Newman on the radio side of things. You can tune into the Pioneer Sports Network 95.5 FM. The guys at Carson Newman do a really good job with the video and talking about it, and they'll be good, and you can tune in there, but you can listen to us as well. We know us.
Listen to Brian.
And we know our teams. So tune in. Go to the webpage, TusculumPioneers.com. Click the audio link. Listen live. You'll be able to tune in to us. She's Coach Meagan Price. I'm Brian Staten. For everyone behind the scenes, we'll see you next week. And until then, go Pioneers.